ఉక్రెయిన్లో ఉన్న భారతీయులను రప్పించేందుకు కేంద్ర ప్రభుత్వం చేపట్టిన ఆపరేషన్ గంగా కొనసాగుతోంది. ఇప్పటికే 6 ఫ్లైట్లు ఇండియాకు చేరుకున్నాయి. ఇవాళ సాయంత్రం ఒకటి, రేపు ఉదయం మరో విమానంలో ఇండియాకు రానున్నారు విద్యార్థులు. అయితే ఎవరికీ ఎలాంటి ఇబ్బంది లేకుండా చర్యలు తీసుకుంటున్నామని తెలిపారు కేంద్ర మంత్రి వికే సింగ్. యుద్ధం జరుగుతున్న ప్రాంతంలో కొన్ని పరిమితులు, గందరగోళ పరిస్థితులు ఉంటాయన్నారు. ఓపిక లేకుంటే, సూచనలు పాటించకపోతే ఇబ్బందులు తప్పవన్నారు వికే సింగ్.
In general say two things. People who go outside must realize they are not in India. Second thing they must realize is you are in a war zone. You cannot do everything that you did otherwise. There will be restrictions, there will be confusion, there will be traffic jams, and you will have agitated border guards on both the sides. Now, in these circumstances, if you do not have patience and do not follow the instructions,
क्या है अपने वतन के लोगों को, स्टूडेंट्स को वापस इंडिया लाने के लिए ये इंतजाम कितनी सहूलियत दिया आप लोगों को?
मैं तो उज़ोर यूक्रेन में रहती थी, MBBS करने गई थी फर्स्ट ईयर, और जिस तरह के हालात हैं अभी, मुझे तो लगा नहीं था कि मैं वहाँ से वापस आ सकूँगी. लिटरली इवन आफ्टर एवरी 5 minutes देयर वाज अ बॉम्ब इन द कीव, एंड हम जो प्लेस में थे उज़ोर, वहाँ पे तो ऐसे कुछ था नहीं बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट वाला सीन, लेकिन वी डोंट नो ना कब क्या कुछ हो जाए. बट स्टिल इंडियन एम्बेसी ने, जो यूक्रेन एम्बेसी ने, यूक्रेन के जो थे हमारे सर्स, उन्होंने काफ़ी हेल्प की, और दे हैव बीन प्रोवाइडेड अस वेरी गुड फूड. बहुत अच्छा खाना था फ्लाइट में भी, और जर्नी में भी बहुत अच्छा था.
अभी और भी स्टूडेंट्स वहाँ हैं. भारत सरकार ने अपने कई मिनिस्टर्स की ड्यूटी लगाई है जो यूक्रेन के आसपास के देशों में जाकर अपने देश के स्टूडेंट्स की वापसी को श्योर करेंगे वो लोग जाकर.
जी, अब अभी तो हम आए हैं, और भी कुछ हैं जो उन्हें भी वापस ला ही रहे हैं. पूरी कोशिश कर रही है इंडियन एम्बेसी के सारे बच्चों को इंडियन से मतलब वापस अच्छे सेफली एंड साउंडली वो वापस ला सके.
कोई डर, कोई फियर, कोई परेशानी आपको ऐसा लगा वहाँ कभी कि आप अकेले हो?
नहीं. एक्चुअली पहले हमारी फ्लाइट बुक ही नहीं हो रही थी, तो हमारी फैमिलीज भी बहुत टेंस थे कि कैसे हम आएंगे. बट थैंक्स टू इंडियन गवर्नमेंट एंड इंडियन एम्बेसी की वो हमारे लिए फ्लाइट ऐसे फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट हमें लाई है, और हम तो बहुत खुश हैं. थैंक यू. मेरा नाम स्मृति.
अच्छा, आप चूंकि यूक्रेन में बम गोले चल रहे हैं, रूस ने अटैक किया है, दोनों देश के बीच युद्ध चल रहा है, आप भारतीय वहाँ थे, आपको वतन वापस आना था, कोई डर लगा आपको?
डर तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं था, और इंडियन एम्बेसी बहुत अच्छी हमें मतलब अच्छी तरीके से हमें इंडिया से, यूक्रेन से इंडिया वापस लाई है.
आपका क्या नाम है?
पुष्पिता चौधरी.
अच्छा, आप कहाँ के रहने वाले?
वेस्ट बंगाल.
वेस्ट बंगाल. अब आप दिल्ली से बंगाल जाएंगी.
यस.
आगे होली का पर्व भी है.
हाँ.
और संकट के समय में आप यूक्रेन से भारत वापस आ चुके हैं, तो जरूर आपके अंदर खुशी होगी.
खुशी तो बहुत है कि सेफली हम आप वापस आ पाए. इसी वजह से
जो आपके कुछ कोलीग्स या स्टूडेंट्स जो पीछे छूट गए हैं, आपके आने के समय कुछ कहा उन्होंने आपसे? उन्हें भी जल्दी वापस आना है?
हाँ, उन्हें भी जल्दी वापस आना है, और एंड इंडियन एम्बेसी उसके लिए भी काम कर रही है बहुत अच्छी तरीके से. थैंक यू.
ఉక్రెయిన్ నుంచి మరో విమానంలో ఇండియాకు చేరుకున్నారు భారతీయులు. 240 మంది విద్యార్థులతో 6వ ఫ్లైట్ ఢిల్లీకి చేరుకుంది. కేంద్ర మంత్రి ముఖ్తార్ అబ్బాస్ నఖ్వీ ఫ్లైట్లోకి వెళ్లి మరీ విద్యార్థులకు స్వాగతం పలికారు. ఇప్పటివరకు ఉక్రెయిన్ సరిహద్దు దేశాల నుంచి 6 ఫ్లైట్లలో విద్యార్థులను ఇండియాకు తీసుకొచ్చారు. ఇప్పటివరకు 1396 మంది భారతీయులు ఇండియాకు వచ్చారు. ఇవాళ రాత్రి మరో ఫ్లైట్, రేపు ఉదయం ఇంకో ఫ్లైట్లో ఇండియాకు రానున్నారు విద్యార్థులు. ఉక్రెయిన్ నుంచి మరో విమానంలో ఇండియాకు చేరుకున్నారు భారతీయులు. 240 మంది విద్యార్థులతో 6వ ఫ్లైట్ ఢిల్లీకి చేరుకుంది. కేంద్ర మంత్రి ముఖ్తార్ అబ్బాస్ నఖ్వీ ఫ్లైట్లోకి వెళ్లి మరీ విద్యార్థులకు స్వాగతం పలికారు. ఇప్పటివరకు ఉక్రెయిన్ సరిహద్దు దేశాల నుంచి 6 ఫ్లైట్లలో విద్యార్థులను ఇండియాకు తీసుకొచ్చారు. ఇప్పటివరకు 1396 మంది భారతీయులు ఇండియాకు వచ్చారు. ఇవాళ రాత్రి మరో ఫ్లైట్, రేపు ఉదయం ఇంకో ఫ్లైట్లో ఇండియాకు రానున్నారు విద్యార్థులు. ఉక్రెయిన్ నుంచి మరో విమానంలో ఇండియాకు చేరుకున్నారు భారతీయులు. 240 మంది విద్యార్థులతో 6వ ఫ్లైట్ ఢిల్లీకి చేరుకుంది. కేంద్ర మంత్రి ముఖ్తార్ అబ్బాస్ నఖ్వీ ఫ్లైట్లోకి వెళ్లి మరీ విద్యార్థులకు స్వాగతం పలికారు. ఇప్పటివరకు ఉక్రెయిన్ సరిహద్దు దేశాల నుంచి 6 ఫ్లైట్లలో విద్యార్థులను ఇండియాకు తీసుకొచ్చారు. ఇప్పటివరకు 1396 మంది భారతీయులు ఇండియాకు చేరుకున్నారు. ఇవాళ రాత్రి మరో ఫ్లైట్, రేపు ఉదయం ఇంకో ఫ్లైట్లో ఇండియాకు రానున్నారు విద్యార్థులు.
Sindhya will be going to Romania and will also go to Moldova, and I'll come to a bit on the Moldova story. Honorable Minister Kiran Rijiju will go to the Slovak Republic. Honorable Minister Hardeep Puri would be going to Hungary, and Honorable Minister General V.K. Singh would be going to Poland. You've seen some reports already, let me confirm that. These special envoys will be traveling to these countries basically to coordinate and oversee the evacuation process there on the ground. If situation permitting, you might also find them going to the as close as possible to where the evacuation happening. So that will depend on the specific circumstances. But I think you will see them operating there, coordinating all the efforts and, as I mentioned, being in touch with local authorities and as well as with other partners that are helping in this process. Having said that, just to give you a sense of where our evacuation efforts are, let me begin by saying that the situation on the ground in terms of evacuation continues to be complex and fluid. You've seen that from the reports, media reports that are coming in, some of them quite concerning. Nevertheless, we have been able to accelerate our evacuation process clearly over the last 24 hours. And I will give you separate elements of that. Just a broad numbers. Our estimate is that we have, more than estimate, I think, around 8,000, over 8,000 Indian nationals have left Ukraine since we issued the initial advisories. So I go back, it's not since the conflict began, but since we issued the initial advisories, our estimate to the extent that we don't exactly know how many left between the advisory and the conflict started. We think around 8,000 citizens have left. And as I speak, I think the 6th flight has just landed. So 6 evacuation flights have landed in India, bringing back around 1,496, I think is the number that I have, 1,400 students, Indian citizens. These are 4 flights were from Bucharest, as you remember, and 2 from Budapest. So the from Bucharest and 2 from Budapest. So these 6 flights have brought back around 1,396 Indian nationals. I will come in a minute. I will come back to the
6 flights, right?
Yeah. Let me repeat again. Sorry, I think there's some confusion. As I said, over 8,000 citizens have left. That is over the advisory period, and then of course the Operation Ganga as it had started. We have had 6 evacuation flights that have landed in India, the 6th one having landed just a little while ago in Delhi. Of these 6 flights, 4 left Bucharest and 2 were from Budapest. The total number of people on these flights, 1,396. That's what our numbers are. I will come back to the flights in a minute. Our focus, of course, is on the land borders before they go to the flights, getting people out from Ukraine through the land borders. There has been some movement, an improvement on the movement into Poland. As we were discussing yesterday about the difficulties at the Polish border. I think they're still difficult, but I think it's improved. Our embassy in Warsaw was able to arrange buses at the Sheni border point. There's a Sheni Medica border point. The Sheni side is on the Ukrainian side. So do remember that we're talking about the Ukrainian side. things are much easier to do on whether it's the Polish or the Romanian or the Hungarian or the Slovak side. It's inside Ukraine, but I must say our embassy was able to organize a fleet of 10 buses, and I think now that's being expanded, to take students who've been stuck at the Sheni border point and take them to the Krakowiec, which is where the main border crossing is, and also to a place called Budomierz, which is even more north, few more kilometers north on the same Polish border, and facilitate their crossing into Poland. So that has helped take off some of the pressure there, but again, this is a continuing process because there were a lot of students, and I think they still are there. On the Polish side, once they cross the border, arrangements for food and accommodation have been made in the nearby town of Resso, I think it's pronounced Resso. And a number of Indians are there currently awaiting their flights back to India. So this is a good development. We managed to get some people across, and hopefully as this bus movement and taking them to the other border points continues, we should be able to ease some of the pressure. But I must emphasize that this is still a large number of Ukrainians and other citizens at the borders. The border is pretty crowded. There has also been movement, progress on the border with Romania. But there, because of, I think 2 days ago there was a lot of movement. Yesterday movement was slow, but today I think there has been some good progress. But large crowds still remain on, in fact, all the border points, I would say. We are separately expanding evacuation process through the Hungary border. There is a city of Uzhgorod that Foreign Secretary mentioned yesterday. We are using that now as a staging point for that area. It's as far southwest of Ukraine. And Hungary also, we've had good movement of people. I'm happy to announce that we have also been able to open a new route through Moldova. And a MEA team reached Moldova today morning, as Foreign Secretary mentioned yesterday. That team is now in place and is operational. They will assist in the evacuation of Indians through Romania. Moldova doesn't, it's landlocked, and so these people will come into Moldova, then go from Moldova into Romania and then to Bucharest, and then fly out from there. So this new route should help Indians in southern Ukraine, around Odessa and those places. I'll come to that. And those near Ukraine-Moldova borders. I am aware that some people were waiting on the Moldova side. Some people had crossed into Moldova but couldn't enter Romania. So we are now looking at how we can move them from Ukraine into Moldova into Romania. So it's in process, but some people are already in Moldova, and we are trying to see how they can be helped into Romania and into Bucharest. You would recall EM spoke with his Moldovan and Hungarian counterparts yesterday and sought their support in facilitating evacuation of Indian citizens. Today, I think he's just spoken to the Polish foreign minister. And let's see, as clearly at various levels we are engaged with all the countries there with a primary focus on this. Moving on to, this is on the western part. So moving on to the other parts of Ukraine, we are encouraging Indians to move to western Ukraine, as you've seen the advisories. Our understanding is that some students in some of these cities in eastern Ukraine are boarding trains which taking them to the west. You would have seen some social media reports. I think Honorable Minister R.R. Singh also mentioned something. Some of it is confirmed, some of it is happening as we speak. But let me make a request here and emphasize something to you all and to our students and their families who are listening to this. We want to emphasize that people should not reach the border directly. Okay? If they do, they will face long waiting times to cross, as you have seen in Poland border, as you've seen on the Romanian border. So yes, please do reach the western parts of the country, western parts of Ukraine, but please seek shelter in nearby towns. Let me repeat again. I will come back to it. Maybe as I finish. Or if you want, देखिए हमारी आग्रह रहेगी सारे जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं, इंडियंस हैं, कि आपको एडवाइजरी दी गई कि आप वेस्टर्न यूक्रेन में जाएं, पर मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं, आपसे अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं कि आप जब जाएंगे आप वहां पे डायरेक्टली बॉर्डर में ना जाएं, आप अगर बॉर्डर में जाएंगे तो वहां बहुत बड़ी भीड़ है, आपको बहुत समय लगेगा। आपने पोलैंड में भी देखा था, आप अभी रोमानिया में देख रहे हैं, बॉर्डर क्रॉसिंग में बहुत समय लगता है, ठंड में रुकना पड़ेगा। हम अनुरोध यही करेंगे कि आप कोई नियर बाय शहर में जाइए, आसपास के वहां गांव तो नहीं, शहर में कहीं अगर आपको वहां रहे, बंदोबस्त हो रही है, कुछ हमारी टीम वहां कोऑर्डिनेट कर रही है, पर आपके यूनिवर्सिटी वगैरह भी कर रहे होंगे, वहां रुके, हमारी टीम आपको हेल्प करेगी। बिल्कुल पैनिक न कीजिए, इनफ फ्लाइट्स हैं, हम आपको भी बताते हैं इसके बारे में।